So again, guys, try to hang on to notes because we probably will have a notes quiz this week. Remember, that was kind of like last time we did an open notes quiz where it just checks so you guys are taking notes. So, because we only have 2 sections left to take care of. So we have 3-7 and then 3-8, and then we'll start getting ready for a test. I'm thinking with taking 2 days with this, I think we'll do a test next week, Monday, rather than trying to squeeze one in this week. So just to plan ahead on that, so like the 15th we would have a test. But we will probably have a notes quiz this week. So, yeah, so if you guys could go to your note packet from last time, we're going to talk about percentages today. Does anyone else need a copy of the notes? All right, so let me pull those up. Jumping ahead here, so we left off when we got to the percent. We're going to talk about something called the percent proportion, which I'll show you guys a couple of different ways to look at this. So I think this is the easiest way to set up percent problems is using a proportion. Otherwise, it's really hard to know what goes with what and which part of the percent should go where. So I'll show you guys 2 different proportions. So this is the one I typically use. I always say is over of equals a percent over 100. Or you can also look at this one. I once had a student tell me this is the one they knew, and so I'm okay with either one. So these 2 proportions will help us to set up our percents. So what I'm going to do is kind of, I'll do one with you and then hopefully let you guys kind of set up the next one, and then hopefully that makes sense too. So the idea with the proportion is it kind of tells me where to put everything. The is over of works really nicely for problems like this. The part over the whole probably works a little bit better for like word problems because it probably makes more sense that way. And I just realized this one's worded really weird. It should be what percent of 48 is 20. So there's like an extra is in here. Sorry. So what percent of 48 is 20? So on a problem like this, it's kind of telling us where to put the different parts. So if I use this percent proportion, is over of equals a percent over 100. It's saying of 48 is 20. So let's say this was your score on a test. What percent of 48 is 20? I hope you'd be a little worried because that's not a very good percentage. So going into that, kind of knowing that that sounds like kind of low is probably kind of a good thing to be aware of. But this percent proportion tells me that the of is going to go on the bottom of the fraction. The is going to go on the top. Does anyone know why I put percent over 100? Why is that part of the fraction the way it is? Does anyone know why that would be? Because there's a really good reason. You just might not be aware of it. The word percent, per means for, like out of, and then cent is like a century, so it means 100. So when I say that you got like an 80% on your test, that would be 80 out of 100 points if there had been 100 points. Typically our tests aren't 100 points, but it's a standard way to write a percentage, just like a baseball batting average. They talk about how many times you get it hit out of 100 or actually theirs is 1,000, but so like that idea that it's kind of a standard notation. It's not like you're batting 100 times necessarily. You're not asked 100 questions. It's what percent you would get out of 100 or what number you get right. So We don't know the percent, so this is our unknown. So we're going to put an X there. Percent of 100. So what I'm able to do is set up this proportion and cross multiply, set equal, and it's a pretty easy proportion for me to solve. So 2,000 divided by 48, probably need a calculator for that. And I get 41.7. 41.7, what is that? It's a percent. So this will be your percentage on the test. Not a very good percent on a test. So hopefully that's not the percentage you got on the test. Maybe it's your free throw shooting percentage or, you know, something like that. That's still kind of low. All right, so similarly, there's another question right here with percent. So if you guys can take a minute to try this one. So example 2, what percent of 32 is 40? So take a minute to try that one. Try this next one, guys. You should be trying example 2. It's really similar to example 1, that's why it's right there. And I'd like you to get in the habit of setting up the percentages, or setting up the proportions like we did. Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. I couldn't. I remember. I thought we had talked about it, but I couldn't remember what like the verbiage was. And I did send an email about like one thing that like I couldn't see a picture. Yeah, like I mean, you can't put like a link in. I see a picture, put a picture in it. So what's that? Right. Right, and he did it like there was one that was submitted correctly. I could see it, and then the other one was the one that I was like, I don't understand how. All right. So setting this up again, this is not supposed to be like trying to like stump you anything. This is a little bit of a weird question because it says what percent of 32 is 40. I want you guys to notice that it's not always the smaller number on top. So this would be a really weird score to get on a test unless it was like there was a bunch of extra credit on it. Because if you look, it says of 32 this time. So the 32 actually goes on the bottom. Is 40, so the 40 goes on top. So it's telling you where to put things. So you don't always just say the smaller number goes on top. And that's kind of why this sometimes can get confusing because you can get more than 100%. And I'll explain that a little. I know that's a confusing idea. So we get x over 100. So again, we'll cross multiply and set equal. So we get 32x will equal 4,000. And then we'll divide by 32, which is something over 100. So 125, right? Yeah. So x ends up being 125, and again, it's a percent. Now I have a few weird, like, I know it's confusing because you're like, wait, you can't have more than 100%. You actually can. It kills me when people say I'm going to give, 125% on something, because then that sounds kind of silly, because how can you give more than you have? But percentages over 100 are something that exists, and it actually exists quite a bit, like in business. So a lot of times it's confusing, but when you go to a store and you purchase something, they used a percentage over 100%. It's called markup. So it's like they paid, maybe let's say they paid $32 for it, probably not, and then they're charging $40. So they're charging 125% of what they paid. It's called like a markup idea, that they have to make money on what you're purchasing. It's probably a lot more than that, to be honest. Usually it's like double what they paid for it. But so this is something that's possible, is that you can get more than 100%, which is confusing. Obviously in a test grade, it's kind of weird. And in certain circumstances, you're like, that doesn't make sense, but you can end up having a higher than 100% percentage. So just a heads up on that. Don't let the numbers fool you and make you think you have to put the smaller number on top. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So we're going to change things up a little bit here. It says, what is 36.5% of 150? So 36.5% of 150. So now we're using that percent proportion. So I'm going to write it here just because I don't have it right in front of me here. So now it says, what is, we don't know that, 36.5% is going to be my percentage. That always goes over 100. Whoops. And I don't need to write the percent because the percent comes from the over 100 part of 150. So that means the 150 is going to go on the bottom. The thing I don't know is the is. So the is going to be my question mark or my x. So getting this all set up in the right spot, I know is confusing, but I think the percent proportion helps you to know. So now in this case, we're going to cross multiply and set equal. So we cross multiply 9525. Oops, not decimal yet. 9525. And then divide by 100. And so I find out I get 95.25. So I did too much at once there. Now this one's not a percentage. We already knew what the percent is. So it's saying 95.25 is 63.5% of 150. So that's 63.5% of 150s are 95.25. All right, likewise, let's have you guys do example 4 here. So what is 150% of 63? So try this next one here. So example 4. So I'm giving you 150% of 63. You guys get that set up. And again, I know sometimes it's like, oh, an extra step to set up this proportion, but it really helps you to know where everything goes really nicely. So 150 is my percentage. So I'm going to put 150 over 100. again, that over 100% idea is kind of something you have to kind of let go. Of 63, so that means the 63 is going to go in the denominator because the of is over of. And then what is my x is my is. So we're going to cross multiply, set equal. It's 63 times 150 9,450. Divide by 100. Dividing by 100 is kind of like the easy thing to do. So you move the decimal over 2 times. So 94.50. And looking back, you realize the numbers are pretty similar as the last one, so it kind of makes sense that they're similar. All right, our last one here. 60% of what number is 13.5? So 60%, and you're trying to find out of the number that you started with, so out of your total is 13.5. So again, setting up our proportion, is over of equals a percent over 100. We're going to use this in all we're doing here today. So that 60% goes over 100. And then the is 13.5. That goes over the of, which is x. Now multiplying by 100 is one that hopefully you don't need a calculator for. You just move the decimal over 2 times. So I'm going to divide this by 60. And we get like 22.5. Make sure your phone's turned off, please. And then if you guys want to try example 6 there, I had a Kahoot on proportions, but I'm kind of changing my mind. I'm kind of thinking maybe we can do it on percentages, just to practice that. Do a Kahoot either way, but let me, you guys want to try this example 6. Maybe I'll just add some proportion problems to her, some percent problems to it. yep, you guys will want a calculator. So we're going to do Kahoot here, and we'll do the word problems after the Kahoot. Okay, so might want scratch paper or a whiteboard. Before you put everything away, like your notes away, because we are going to come back to notes, let's finish this last one here.
Oxygen is fake. You're living in an illusion.
Can't see it, so it can't be real, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. All right. So guys, we'll start the Kahoot in a second here, but I want to finish this last problem, please. All right. So 160% of what number is 24? So the 24 is going to go on top of the of. And so again, cross multiply, set equal. Divide by 160. And so we'll find out that we get 15, right? So hopefully that's what you guys got as well. So our Kahoot, what it's going to be on, so I added just a couple of quick percent questions. It's also on proportions from last class. There's a few word problems in there with proportions, but you might want to have these notes out to kind of check things. You might want scratch paper. I think the back of the notes might be blank, so you have that room for scratch paper too, or part of it's blank or something. Oh no, it's entirely blank. But we'll do a Kahoot on that. I did try to give you guys plenty of time on the Kahoot, so I just asked that you guys try and don't just like kill time to kill time, because it just gives us less time for homework. So we'll do our Kahoot. There's a few non-math questions thrown in there. Hopefully we don't have glitches with Kahoot today. Those of you guys online, you won't be able to play live, but you can kind of play along or fast forward, whatever happens to be. Pull the drapes to make sure you can see everything. Guess I'm still. And so again, it's all on the last couple days of notes, so proportions and percents. We'll get going here. Again, you should have 2 minutes on every question if you need it.
I'm sending a page here.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. It was always the worst with the phones. People's phones would go to sleep and they'd go to wake it back up and then they'd click on something. So, yeah. Keypad is probably an issue too. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it really is a cute cut. Good work. All right, so yeah, cross multiply, set equal, unless you just bumped it, you know, it's hard to get it right then. So, hopefully that went okay. So here's our one of our percent. What percent of 75 is 20? And they it looks like they rounded for the most part. So you guys know, if you're looking, you're like, my exact answer's not on there. They might have rounded a little bit. Let me know if you're having trouble getting it set up. We just talked about this. It's like one of our examples we just did. Yesterday was pretty brutal, but even that my kids were asking, I don't think so. Their school put out kind of a, I think it's when it's a wind chill warning, or either advisory or a warning. An advisory for negative 35 or something like wind chills. Yeah. I remember one of the times though, the second day we kind of just bundled the kids up and took them to like Sky Zone or something. Because we were our kids were toddlers at the time, and I was like, okay, then we're gonna lose our minds here. This isn't gonna work. Again, guys, they rounded a little bit on the answer, so if you guys got something different, maybe round up. 3 seconds, but make a good guess. All right, good work. Some of you guys got in under the buzzer there. Yeah, so it was 20, it's point, or 20,
25.
repeating, so if you round up, then that's up to 27. So, I know that's a little confusing, but it looks like most of you guys got it. Good work. Oh, so this is a word problem. So, the team outscored their opponents 5-2 last season. If their opponents scored 38 points, how many points did Big Town score? You sound like bullies. Sorry, it's 5-2 last season. They outscored their opponents 5-2. If the opponent scored only 38 points, how many points did Big Town score? There shouldn't be anything weird about football rules or anything like that. So you don't have to know anything about sports, just points. wasn't willing them to be right. You know, I was like, I know, because at first I was like, wait, why don't we stop it? I was going to There's one less people there. I don't know. Just like, yeah, like, I don't know. And really, how many times do you think the third place guy really does he battle out to become, you know, like, I don't know. So in this one, you guys, so they outscored their opponents 5-2. So you have to make a fraction of 5 over 2. So they outscored, so they're the 5. That means their opponents are the 2. So the 38 would have to go down here. And then again, cross multiply, set equal. Again, if you're not setting up a proportion with these last couple of days, probably something's going wrong, or you're probably leaving it up to fate. All right, I think this next one might be a not math related question. If you.
Great.
Oh no, it's not.
No?
It just says
Okay.
they'll solve for us. We're okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to set the rest of this pretty he ended up taking second. He's going, but like I think she was making her really nervous, you know, like and we just kind of like. But they, I mean, really, we should be glad for having, you know, like. Oh my gosh, for his team, his 40 after. Oh my gosh, they throw it out of the gym. 6th grade basketball. No. Well, like, the rule is the head coach is the one who should be able to talk to the refs, and the assistant coach is looking at him, and he's like, who's head coach? She's like, and then they kept going, and so they threw out. Oh my god. Which means it's somebody's dad, because like these are all dad coaches, you know, like, they're like, oh my god. And it was like the 2 top teams in our league were like, we were in second or third, and the other top, I think the top 3 all playing each other yesterday, so these teams were intense. Like we were like, look at you guys, 100%. Gold star on that one. Okay, this is the non-math question. If you absolutely don't have any clue, I might give you a lifeline at the end. So, here. Lifeline, like a help you. Could be your phone a friend.
Oh, I don't actually know.
This is like important stuff. You guys should know. This is Wait a minute. It was a man. That helps. We were dying laughing. Gotta go over the top first. You're gonna be. All right. Sorry. Cost dearly. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Prince passed away a few years ago. Sorry. It was maybe a little more than a few years ago. Someone actually, the reason I thought of that question is because someone called him like a wannabe prince because like he has kind of I don't know similar sound or.
I thought her looked like she was the daughter.
Right. I never know who anyone is. I'm always like Googling people during the game.
Like I don't recognize him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's supposed to be some heavy drug user. A lot of his songs are about drugs rather than being about like love, actually. So yeah, like that's what my saying that. You're like one of his songs. bad horror movie or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. All right. Good work, guys. David. David paints 3 rooms in 7 hours. At the same pace, how long would it take him to paint 15 rooms? So 3 rooms in 7 hours. How long would it take him to paint 15 rooms?
I'm pretty impressed with 3 rooms.
I know. Yeah, he moves.
Small rooms.
Yeah, he's moving. Or he's really bad at it.
Yeah.
Well, if you have equipment, it's easy.
I think it's
Right.
3 hours
There's
to do my daughter's.
Well, you're running across that first like this, and only because I got her.
I think that like the
Take my
taking and
mom.
like all that and just moving stuff and you know like it's not
I think it's gonna
you know clean up. Yeah,
That would be amazing.
that's a lot of times when people want to paint. Right, any trim. Easy peasy. Yeah, I used to be quick at measurements. Yeah, I used to be amazed by the stuff. You know, like I was like, all right, good work, guys. So hopefully, sorry if you picked 8 because that was less time. That would be, I mean, I don't know how that would happen. So hopefully you're down to like kind of the 2 big numbers, and maybe you made just a good guess. But setting up the proportions. Sorry, I thought the proportions got a little harder eventually. I don't know. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're gonna need to just sort of like, yeah, like. Yeah. Probably her sister and your dad. Yeah, no, this guy, all the families are in his rooms too, and I think that adds to it too, like, so it's like, so we, and the fans are pretty, I mean, we're sitting in chairs, and so their fans are out here, and we were waiting, so, like, but like, the fouls were really lopsided calls, like, we had a lot more fouls called on us, we were winning, and, I mean, we were, but it's like, they're not uneven, you know, like, so, all right. Like I said, I think the proportion problems, I thought I threw some ones in there that were more than one step, but maybe I forgot. So another percent one, and then the rest, like is walking down the sideline. I need security for you free. It's really teasing us. It's like, you can figure it fine. Yeah, like. And like, and the kids, like, their kids were reacting to it too, like spiking the ball. You know, like, Right? Do you click on some? Yeah. Bump your screen. Trying to diversify my questions. I suppose they're both about music now. Sorry, Sound of Music was like Austria.
I've never seen it.
Hamilton's one of our founding fathers. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is what I was looking for. Yes. I love the collective groan. Been easy all along. I couldn't have played that. Oh. Something that problem. Okay, hang on. Did you multiply? Cross multiply. So 3 times the x minus 2. I don't know where your number are coming from. Anyone thoughts that need some help? Which one did you get wrong? The Hamilton?
And then now I'm in seventh.
Not right.
I've never seen those like
Mr. Donahue is always like, why do they have to sing everything? Well, the musical.
it's just like in mood.
Just say the lines. Just sing them. And I like have never had to pull up. I hear so many good things.
Oh, yeah.
Like
You said it was amazing.
oh yeah. See, I'm like I don't know. That's what he was. Yeah. 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 All right, guys. Sorry, ran out of time if you didn't get in. So we cross multiply in this case. Remember, this is where we have to put parentheses in. So this 3 gets multiplied to both of those. So it'll be 3x minus 6. And then we multiply over here. This is 18. So we have to add 6. So we get 3x equals 24. And then x ends up being 8. Root beer. You can buy 6 cans of root beer, that says 6 up there, for $2.50. How many cans can you buy for $10? you guys. Those of you who rang it last second. Good work. Krista's on fire up there. There we go, there it is. I was like, that was a little delayed, you guys. Then when you were so shocked by it. So this one we cross multiply. You're going to have to use parentheses twice in this case. We have to distribute. So the 7 times x plus 2, and then the 5 times 2x minus 11. So cross multiply. So we get 7x plus 14, and then this is 10x minus 55. I'd probably move the 7x over, so we end up with 3x minus 55 equals 14. Move the 55 over. That ends up being 69 there equals 3x, and then we divide by 3, I believe. So we get like 23, I think, is our answer. If you say me, I'm gonna cut you. And I'll give you a clue, it's not Mr. Donahue.
Oh, I didn't even see Mr. Donahue.
It is Mr. Dunn.
Yeah, obviously, it's Mr. Donahue.
Oh my god.
Oh, I actually got that right.
Mrs. Hoffman already had her baby, sorry. The last one might not be a math question.
Yes.
Oh no, I guess it is. What is 82% of 18? Oh no, we'll see how well your accidental clicking works, huh? Maybe you got lucky here. 82 has to go over 100, and then 18 will go on the bottom, and then the X is then on top. All right. Marissa was perfect. Holly was perfect. Marissa didn't end up getting any wrong. And then Callie and Lucas can come up to first. So the top 5, come on up. Work, guys. Come grab treats.
Oh my God.
All right, anyone else participation trophy? We're gonna grab a sucker if you guys would like one. Anyone else is welcome to grab one. All right, we're gonna just finish up with these last couple word problems here. All right. So, again, so kind of trying to ask yourself, when is, when are percents ever going to be applied in my life? I hope that's not a question you ask, because percents are probably one of the things where I'm like, this is something you might see from time to time. I mean, it's not like, I don't think you're maybe in there trying to figure out exactly what the percent is, but I tend to try to figure it out a little bit. Is that a good deal, or is that low enough for what I expect? Or when you get to the register, did they calculate it correctly? So,
I'm gonna go to the store and do it.
so a shirt that was $12.50 is on sale for 20% off. What would the discounted price be? So we have to figure out what 20% is of $12.50. So we have to take that. So this is kind of where a place I like to use that part over the whole equals a percent over 100. Now I know the percent is always going to go over 100. So the 20 is going to go on over 100. Where's the 1250 going to go? It's going to go on the top or the bottom of that fraction? What do you think? It's going to go on the bottom, because we want to find out what 20% of 1250 is. So this is going to be where that will go, because that's the total, that's the whole. We want to figure out what they're taking off. So what's the discount going to be? What is 20% of 1250? So we get 100x equals, is it 250? 50 divided by 100. So we get $2.50. Is that what we're going to pay for the shirt? No. That's the discount. That's what they're going to take off. So we have to, so it's a discounted price. It better not get more expensive. It's going to take that price off. So off of $12.50, we're going to take that away, so it's going to end up being a $10 shirt. Now, some percentages, like 20%, is a percentage that I think is really easy to figure out. This actually, 20% is a really nice one because that's typically what they tell you. It's like a good tip at a restaurant. Pretty high, but good tip. And what you can do is, a way to figure that out is what the tip is you just basically move the decimal over one time and double it. So if I look at, so it's 12 or $1.25 if I double it. If this is like my bill at a restaurant, $12.50, your tip of $2.50 would be a nice tip for that. So you double that amount. So it's kind of like there's little tricks with percentages that work out kind of nicely, or you can just set it up and figure it out. All right, the next one gives our original price and then a discount and a tax. So typically what they do is they take the discount first and then they tax it. So kind of in order, we're gonna have to do that. So a discount takes the money away, but what does a tax do? Adds. Now you might say, well, can't I just do 15%? You can, it's probably pretty close, but it's probably not gonna be completely exact with that, just because so this is like a two-part problem. So we have to do the discount first. Once we figure out what that discount is and what our new price is, then we'll figure out the tax. Now if you use that other rule, you might have been able to already figure out what the discount is gonna be on our $50 item here. So we're gonna get $10. So that's our discount. And again, that's if I move the decimal over one time and then double it, it's 5, doubled is 10. So our new cost of our item is gonna be $40. That's what now they're gonna do tax on. So I have a second part of this problem where now I have to add that tax on. So you might think, oh, this shirt's only gonna be $40, or this thing that I'm buying is only $40, I have a 20% discount. Don't forget about tax. So we have to still add that tax on, which is obviously that annoying extra piece that we have to worry about. So now we're gonna do 5% tax on our new $40 item to figure out what that is, and then we're gonna add that on this time. And so that means our item final cost will be $42. So if you walked up to the register with just $40, that's not enough. All right, questions there at all? So homework should be listed there for you guys. It's basically the part that we haven't yet done yet. So it's going to be, this is now due on Tuesday. Let me know if something's not posted right or if you're not seeing the pictures. Every once in a while I like forget to polish it or something. There's always some sort of clip that